Recording. So let me start by welcoming everybody who is here live with us on the Zoom, and probably more of you that are going to be watching the recording of today's event. We were just chatting a little bit with Lesley and Clive and some of the group about the significance of today's event. We really feel that it's a kickoff of something very, very profound that we are declaring. So global wellness transformation is not only about creating new wellness paradigms, but it's really looking at the wealth side of the equation and how important those things are together. And we are fortunate to have as part of our leadership team, Lesley Thomas, who is the founder of the Money Confidence Academy, and she is based in London. Am I getting that right?
London, yeah, not very far from Stonehenge, so about an hour and a half or so from London.
So, gosh, we've got quite an image of Stonehenge. Yes, we are tapping into some universal energies today, some very, very powerful things. And as I mentioned a little while ago, Lesley gave us a little bit of a preview of some of what she was going to be sharing today on one of the women's Zooms that we had a few weeks ago. And it was very deep and brought some of us to tears. And so, again, GWT is declaring uh, a way of living and working and prospering in alignment with higher frequencies where we get to thrive materially as well as offer our gifts, because we recognize that the universe is an abundant place. We have a little story among ourselves about, the world is a fountain, not a pie to be divided up. And we're looking to ground all of this in something very profound moving forward. And this is our kickoff. So we are just thrilled and grateful to have Lesley articulate these things and inspire us today. And with that, Lesley, please take it away. And I think I need to give you the screen, perhaps,
Yes,
in case you
please.
have something to share. So I have done that.
Thank
And
you.
Again, thank you so much for being with us and for what you're about to share.
No, my absolute pleasure. Bear with me a second while I just pull to the front the piece that I need to share. So let me just go back to the screen again, go here, and go to present. Okay. Can you give me a thumbs up, Susan, that you can see my presentation?
Yes, it's
Perfect.
beautiful.
Fantastic. Okay, brilliant. Thank you. So I'm going to introduce myself properly shortly. Everybody live here today knows me, but anybody watching the recording may not possibly know me. So I'll come on to more about me very, very shortly. I am here to talk more about the money side of GWT, and in particular, how we can become more conscious about our own ability to create wealth, and how that absolutely starts with mastering our inner game, because our relationship with money has nothing to do with anything external. It all goes on in here. And I'll go into that in a lot more detail as I go through the presentation. The first thing, and the reason I put this here, and the reason this is the very first thing I kind of want to declare, basically, because when it comes to creating wealth, when it comes to running a successful business, you absolutely have to be strategic about it. You have to have a strategy. You have to have the right strategy, and you have to continually evolve that strategy. However, if you don't have the right mindset, then it doesn't matter how good that strategy is going to be, because you are not going to create the beliefs and from there the behaviors upon which to deliver that strategy. So when it comes to wealth creation, when it comes to having a confident relationship with money, where mindset goes, that is where money grows. And I'm going to come back to this theme throughout the presentation. So I spent 20 years in corporate, and you're going to find out shortly. And there's a phrase over here in the UK: you can take the girl out of corporate, but you can't take corporate out of the girl. So I was always encouraged to tell my audience what I was going to tell them before I told it to them. So that's what I'm going to do. We're going to very shortly start with a little warm-up exercise. I didn't know how many people were going to be here live today, but whenever I do any form of presenting, any form of teaching or coaching, I like to help people to actively engage their brain rather than just sit there and consume. Because when we're in consumer mode, we're not really going to get the best from what's being spoken about. Us actively doing and encouraging our brain to take on the information, to start processing and utilizing that information, that's going to allow us to not only have those light bulb moments today in the moment, but it's going to allow our subconscious self to keep questioning what we've heard and to keep processing. So we're going to do a little exercise. I'm then going to tell you more about me very, very briefly. Then I'm going to take you back to some of the things I said a couple of weeks ago, and I'm going to encourage everybody to be more baby. And there's a reason for that if you didn't see what I talked about a couple of weeks ago. I'm then going to delve into financial identity and what financial identity is and why a lot of people confuse financial identity with other things, and that in itself causes confusion. We're then going to have an interactive session, and I'm going to have a little debate with myself as I'm going through this, how I'm going to run that session now, because there's just 6 of us here right now. And the session is an anonymous response session. So any answers anybody gives me is done on a device. Clive will be aware of this. I'm using Mentimeter, and we use Mentimeter particularly in one community that we're both in together. But because there's only 6 of us here, it might not have the same anonymity that it would normally have, but I'm going to process that as I go through. Then going to briefly look at your upper limit. Then I'm going to share something that I've created for GWT just for the community to consider something they might like to do as a community. And then finally, there's going to be, hopefully if time, a Q&A session, and I'm going to wrap things up. So engage the brain. Why is it important to engage the brain? Well, as I said a little while back, when we are sitting here in consuming mode, we're not necessarily encouraging our brain to work for us in the most efficient, effective way possible. And I have discovered that when I encourage those I teach, coach, present with to start up a session by really engaging their brain, they get the most from the session. There is nothing like getting your endorphins going to make that connection between your brain and your stomach, where all our emotions reside, than getting the endorphins flowing. And there are a number of ways of getting our endorphins flowing. Some of them are not appropriate right now, such as going out and going for a jog around the block, such as going to do an aerobics class. But hands up, who has heard of laughter yoga? Susan has. Now, don't worry, I am not going to get anybody to suddenly go and change into their yoga pants and get out their yoga mat. Don't need to do that at all, because you can do laughter yoga right in your seat. But you are going to see, if you join in with me, and don't worry, I'm going to demonstrate it first of all. When you do laughter yoga, you are going to get that same flooding of endorphins that you will get if you take part in really energetic activity. But what that does is it invites your brain to take on the concepts that are being discussed and to process them in a different way than if you were just sitting there consuming the information. So please don't laugh at me when I demonstrate this all for you. And then I'm going to invite you all to come off mute and to follow my lead and do the same. So laughter yoga looks a little bit like this. Oh, and then you start to feel the endorphins just flooding through your blood on your brain, as though you have just done half an hour on a Peloton bike or gone off for a really brisk run. It's an amazing feeling. So can you all come off mute and do me the honor of, after 3, joining in the yoga that your brain is really going to enjoy. So after 3, 1, 2, 3. Now that, and does everybody feel that effect of the endorphins just flooding your brain? It's a beautiful way to wake up our brain for what is to come, essentially. So thank you very much for indulging me.
Lesley, I just have to say, I was going to say I'm tickled by this. I was literally tickled by it, because this is such an amazing example of how holistic we are here. You know, somebody might be coming to this webinar recording expecting spreadsheets and stuff, and we've started out the way we've started out. So I think this is just such an amazing expression of what we're all about, that you have kicked us off with this. So thank you.
My pleasure. And for anybody who is expecting spreadsheets, you may want to leave now, because I can promise you there is no spreadsheets at all, because I am not a spreadsheet person. However, this is who I am. Did you see that segue there? So professional. So I mentioned earlier on, I spent 20 years in corporate telecommunication here in the UK. In fact, I worked globally. I worked in Japan, I worked in Switzerland, I headed over to the US a few times. And it was a job I absolutely loved. I never had any ambition whatsoever to run my own business until my children came along. And living in Wiltshire, having a job an hour and a half up on the train, just did not prove compatible when my children were around about 3 years of age, about 1.5. My husband by then had set up his own business. So he was the one that was giving the children breakfast first thing in the morning, taking them off to nursery, whilst I was crossing fingers, driving to the train station, hoping I wouldn't miss my train, and doing the same in reverse in the evening, hoping that I would get home to them and be able to give them a kiss goodnight, and if I was really lucky, a bedtime story. So I decided to leave the corporate world behind, and I joined my husband in his business, where we sold ski property in France and Switzerland. I'm pleased to say that business is still doing really well today. But to me, it was a job. It was not a passion. And I firmly believe we should all be doing what drives us, what motivates us, what is a passion. I'd always coached and mentored, but informally. Throughout my career, be it running a team, being part of a mentoring program. So in 2020, I decided to retrain as a business coach. My plan had been to become a confidence coach for women who ran businesses, because I understood the importance of having really strong confidence. However, the more I worked and researched and studied, the more I saw the connection between self-worth, self-value, self-confidence, and money. And that really was my eureka moment, because I realized that our relationship with money was nothing to do with money. It was purely a reflection of our relationship with ourselves. So I founded the Money Confidence Academy. I launched my podcast, Let's Talk Money and More, 2 years ago to the date yesterday. Who knew I'd be talking to you guys 2 years later? And I am the co-author of 5 actually now book collaborations as well. I've written this here in typeface rather than just showing a picture because I believe it is so, so important. How we do money is absolutely how we do everything. We will not deal any differently in our romantic relationships, in our friendships, in how we run our business and how we show up for our business. We will not show up any differently than how we will show up with money. Because as I said earlier on, our relationship with money is purely a reflection of our own relationship with ourselves. And a confident relationship with money is 100% dependent on having a confident relationship with ourselves. Now, those of you who were here a couple of weeks ago will know the answer to this, but not everybody will. And those watching on replay may be asking, I don't know, what is the one thing that all babies have in common? And you may find this fascinating. Confidence. All babies are born with absolute rock solid sense of confidence. So when as an adult somebody says, I don't feel very confident, I need to become confident, I don't know what it is, but I just don't seem to have confidence. The truth is, you did have confidence. You were born with confidence as a baby. You just need to find a way to refine your confidence, because all babies absolutely love trying new things. They never, ever give up. All babies love to engage with the grown-ups around them. They really do not care about anybody else's opinion. They do not worry about how they look when milk is dribbling down their chin, or whether their bum is big in their diaper, or anything like that. They look at the world around them and they soak all information up. They explore. They want to find out. They are naturally curious. Nobody can tell them no. They love to explore. They have high expectations of themselves and of the world around them. And they never, ever, ever take no for an answer. That is why I believe we all need to be more baby. So what happens? What happens that we're all born with rock solid confidence, but we don't all take that sense of confidence through with us into adulthood? Well, we go to school and our teachers start saying things like, not very good at maths, are you? Didn't do very well in that spelling test. Why are you the one always late for class? Why are you talking at the back of the class? In the playground, your peers and friends may be saying things like, no, you can't join the football team. You missed the penalty the last time. No, you can't be friends with me because I've already got 2 best friends. What are those trainers you're wearing? And then at home, our parents might be saying, so you failed the maths test. How did that happen? I was already good at maths. What do you mean you can't spell that word? It's really easy. How come you were late handing in your homework again and the teachers just emailed me to tell me you've got detention? And then we start to see ourselves in the mirror. We start to see we're taller or shorter than our peers. We have darker or lighter hair. We have freckles. They don't. And then we start to hear all the messages our parents are giving us around money. All the things they are saying about people who do and don't have money. All the quiet whispers, all the mixed messages. And so it begins. And what does this lead to? It leads to us feeling as though we're not good enough, that we are not enough. And it leads to us feeling less than, which is absolutely the opposite of how the point at which everything begins. Our relationship with money being a reflection of how we're feeling about ourselves. So financial identity. Our financial identity is the label that we start to give ourselves, usually between the ages of 0 and 7, as a result of our parents being the author of our money story. Our parents don't intend to give us limiting beliefs around money. They don't intend for us to create a label that we stick on our forehead with regards to our financial identity. But that's exactly what happens. We wear our financial identity as though it were a post-it note on our forehead. And our financial identity becomes so deeply ingrained in who we are that it is that will influence our financial outcomes. The influencer for our financial outcomes. And it's only when we understand what the elements are that make up our financial identity that can we then start to question how relevant, how accurate is the financial identity that we have given ourselves, and then take steps to change that identity. Because just like a fancy dress outfit, you can take off the different layers and you can choose to have a different identity. And it's exactly the same when it comes to our relationship with money and the identity that we have financially. So our financial identity is made up of 4 core elements: our beliefs. And our beliefs are, what are those convictions that we hold about money? Do we believe it's scarce? Do we believe it's abundant? What are the values that we have generated around money? Do we have values based around spending, saving, investing, supporting others? That then leads on to our attitudes around money, how we generally feel emotionally around money. Are we scared of it? Do we bury our heads in the sand and not like to think about it? Do we hope that other people are going to save us? Do we tend to step in and save other people, even though financially that might do us harm? Or are we fairly indifferent about it? We know it needs to be there, but we're not really that bothered about it one way or the other. And then our attitude feeds into our behaviors being the actions that we take around money, how we go about utilizing money, why we spend money. Are we spending money from an emotional perspective to medicate ourselves? Are we using money to paper over a lack we're feeling in ourselves and questioning our own self-worth and self-value? And where a lot of confusion comes in is people confuse financial identity, which is the badge of honor they have given themselves or dishonor they have given themselves, versus financial status versus wealth. And these are 3 distinct things. They are not things that need to be seen as one conglomerate thing. They are completely separate. But when people confuse them, this is where they can start to cause issues. So our financial identity, as I've just said, is made up of our financial beliefs, our values, our attitudes, and our behavior around money. And this defines how we perceive and interact with our money, the actual behaviors that come out as a result of the identity that we have taken on for ourselves. Nobody else is able to give us that identity. It's the identity that we have absorbed and assumed for ourselves, and we carry it with us in whatever we're doing. The problem is that identity has been formed during our formative years, usually between the ages of 0 and 7, and usually based on our parents' money story, and usually based on the fact that as parents, we are the authors of our children's money story. And every time I say that, a parent will go, oh my God, yeah, never thought of that. But all our limiting beliefs around money largely stem from our childhood as a result of what our parents said or didn't say. And as children, we start to assimilate what they don't say as much as what they do say. And that turns into being our money story. And this gets reflected within our money mindset and also within our own self-image with regards to money as well. So that's self-identity, so financial identity. Then the confusion happens with regards to financial status, because our financial status is literally a snapshot in time. It refers to what is happening for us with regards to our current financial situation. But that is not a permanent situation. How much money we have, and how many assets make up that wealth or lack of wealth, how much our debt is. Very often people will wear their amount of financial debt as their financial identity, and they will feel lesser because of it. Sometimes that financial status they carry on wearing, which is actually the financial status of their parents when they were a lot younger. I am poor because I was brought up poor. I am working class because my parents are working class, rather than actually looking at the situation as it pertains to you. But the important thing about financial status is it is not permanent, and it should not become part of your identity, because it is literally a measurement of a factor of your life. It is not a reflection of the totality of your life in any way. And then wealth. Wealth, of course, represents the accumulation of money and of assets, and is used as a measure of somebody's wealth. Now, some people will absolutely align their wealth with their financial identity. I am wealthy, I am successful. I am wealthy, I therefore deserve to be more revered than those people who have less than me. But equally, there are wealthy people who do not have the identity of somebody who is financially successful, because they have a scarcity mindset. Enough is never enough. I might lose it. I need to keep going. And very often those people who are wealthy but don't identify as being wealthy, it goes right back to their childhood and living in far less different circumstances to the ones they find themselves in now. So identity, status, and wealth are not necessarily interlinked. And as far as identity and status are concerned, they should never, ever be linked at all, because your self-worth, your self-value, and your self-confidence should not come down to a particular monetary number in the bank. And this is why I get quite agitated when it comes to pricing, when very often people will advocate charge your worth. I find that an awful thing to talk about, because we as individuals are priceless. If we try and base our services, the price of our services and products, on our worth, then actually we're not going to have a business. We're going to be bankrupt, because nobody's going to be able to afford those services, those products. When it comes to pricing, we should be looking at the results that our product or service brings for our clients, but also understanding where we want to be on the value chain as well, because there are lots of wealthy businesses that actually sell high volume, low prices. There's also a large number of companies that decide smaller number of clients, bigger price attached to that. So we should never, ever attach our worth to what we're charging for our services. We need to make a decision with regards to where are we pricing ourselves on that value ladder, and what are the results of what we are doing for our clients. It's really important that we understand the role of beliefs in shaping our financial identity, because that is where that label starts to be written and starts to be coloured in. So that the label that we give ourselves when it comes to our financial identity is largely based on our beliefs, because our beliefs are absolutely the foundation upon which our financial identity is built. And the more that we can bring into play the awareness of not only those conscious limiting beliefs that we have, but more importantly, the unconscious limiting beliefs that we have, because more damage is done unconsciously, because as we all know, our unconscious self believes its role is to keep us safe. And the way it keeps us safe is to ensure that we doubt ourselves when it comes to doing anything differently. And the more we become aware of the internal conversation that is going on in our head, that is preventing us from doing things differently in our business, preventing us from getting more visible, putting stronger boundaries in play, deciding that we want to play big rather than keeping ourselves small. The more we become aware of the limits that we are putting on ourselves, the more we can take charge, the more we can be in the driving seat when it comes to how we are going to change our financial identity and what we believe is possible for us. And that belief, those beliefs that we have, it is those beliefs, that shape and influence what we do with regards to money, how we go about spending money, why we spend money. Are we a saver? If we're not a saver, why might that be? Could it be we're scared of saving money because we hold on to it, we feel we're going to lose it? Where has that belief come from? Do we feel the need to look after other people so that they will like us, so we will constantly be paying for things when we go out? We will constantly be supporting other people, not having the awareness that actually we are creating dependence rather than independence. And when we understand our beliefs and how they are shaping and influencing us, we can then move that a step further to the behaviors. What behaviors are then driving what we are doing financially? Do we believe, because of what went on in our childhood, that money is scarce and therefore we're going to hang on to it? We're not really going to want to invest in ourselves, not going to want to invest in our health, not going to want to invest in our business because we don't feel we're worth it, because of messaging that we had long ago whilst we were growing up? Or do we have an attitude of gratitude and abundance that says, it's okay, it'll always be there when I need it. I am important, therefore I will invest in my health. I understand the importance of investing in my self-development. I understand the importance of investing in my business, because if I'm asking clients to invest in me, I need to be seen to be investing in myself. And the biggest thing about beliefs and how they shape our financial identity is it really does become a self-fulfilling prophecy. As Henry Ford said back in the 50s, whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. Our subconscious does not ever like to be proved wrong. So it'll do absolutely everything it can to ensure that what we do, if we don't do it full-heartedly, if we don't go all out to create the kind of success that we believe we can have, if we don't go all out and therefore fail, our subconscious would be delighted because we have just proven it right. I told you couldn't do that. Look what's happened. And then that just creates a feedback loop that is very, very difficult to move away from and change. So when it comes to creating conscious wealth, it's really important to recognize what are the messages that are going on internally, because consciously creating wealth starts with really understanding what is your money story and what is the messaging that you are then enacting upon. And really understanding that your money story is unique to you based on a set of circumstances when you were growing up, but also the experiences and the beliefs and the emotions and the reinforcement and how you have been influenced by your family, by your peers, by others in society, by anything culturally that is really relevant to you, the big events that have happened in your life and how they've all layered onto creating this money story for you. But money story, and as we know, stories are not necessarily true. They are what we build up in our mind to justify the narrative that we have created for ourselves. And when it comes to limiting beliefs, it is not our limiting beliefs that we need to be concerned about, because we can feel the fear and do it anyway. It is the limiting decisions that we take as a result of those limiting beliefs where the harm happens, where we limit ourselves, where we limit our ability to do the behaviors that we need to do in order to create the results we want to create. So we have to understand the impact of our own internal script and how it is serving us, the financial decisions that we are taking, because even when we make no decision, we are in effect making a decision. We are then creating habits, good and bad, and those are all feeding into the creation of our financial identity and reaffirming that financial identity. I'm not good with money. I'm never going to be successful. Who am I to want to have more, etc., etc. And it's only when we start to really pay attention to those reoccurring patterns, because and I'll talk about something a little bit later, but I'll bring it in now. When you understand your money bio, and your money bio starts right at your very first memory of money and works through right through to today, and you plot everything that you can remember about money all the way through your life, there will be recurring patterns. And when you understand those recurring patterns, you start to see why you have behaved in the way that you have with money. You start to see, well, actually, that served me well because that was the result. Oh, that didn't serve me so well because look what happened there. Oh, and look, I did it again and again and again. All of a sudden, light bulb comes on. Okay, I've identified the patterns that are serving me. I can continue with those, but actually, I really see the patterns that are not serving me. I now have a decision to make to do things differently. And the beauty, the real beauty about understanding your money story is it is an evolution. You are not stuck with that money story. Whatever element of your money story is not serving you, you can do something about it. if you choose to do something about it. And then you can align your financial identity with what you want to achieve, be it your aspirations, where you want to take your business to, how you want to evolve your wealth creation. You can align them because you're going to rewrite your money story so that it represents who and where you want to be in the future. And you shed that old money story from the past because it no longer serves you. Okay, Susan, how many people are here now? You're on mute, sorry.
Rookie mistake. Haven't done that in a while. A couple of people joined us, so I believe we're 8 now.
Right, okay, that'll be fine. So we can go for the live, go for the live interaction. So I'm going to start off by saying any answer you give is absolutely anonymous. There is no storing anywhere of who said what. I do not know, nobody else will know. We're going to be delving into your relationship with money. I want you to be really, really honest, because this will start to make the connection I spoke about between your conscious self and your subconscious self. And you'll start to have these light bulb moments, not necessarily today, possibly some today, but as you go forward over the next few days, your subconscious will start to go, okay, can see I've not been the best friend I should be here. I'm going to actually start supporting you a little bit more. So if everybody can scan the code up on screen, if you can't scan it for whatever reason, if you scan it, the QR code, you just literally click on, I think it says menti.com in yellow, click on that and it'll take you in and you will see on the page in front of you. I will do the same just to make sure that I can see it as well on here, because that'll add somebody else. Here we go. Go to the scan the code, menti.com. Okay, so what you will see in front of you is literally that slide, basically. If anybody can't get in via the QR code, let me know. Brilliant. Looks like we have. So just to reiterate, all totally anonymous. Even I don't know what's going on, or how you're answering. Sorry, I do know what's going on. I just don't know what you're answering. Okay, so first question. When you think about money, you feel, fill in the blanks and choose 3 words, please. These are emotional words, feeling words. So when you think about money, you feel. So we've got them coming in. So we've got success, excited, worried, frightened, grateful, opportunity. Keep them coming. Stuck. Curious. Oh, I love that word. Curious. Abundant. Cautious. And interestingly, we haven't, I know there's one word we have replicated. I was about to say none of us have replicated any word, but we have replicated somewhere abundant. That's why it's showing up larger than the other ones, invincible. Okay. And as you can see there is a plethora of different kinds of emotions coming up. So hopefully we're a small group, so it's not necessarily going to be, truly representative. However, hopefully you can see there are other people feeling very, very similar to how you're feeling right now. So you are not alone. You're not standing out any differently here at the moment, but your subconscious will be starting to make some connections. If anybody has said anything a bit negative here, then our subconscious will be going, yeah, but hang on, they're feeling this. Okay, what can we start doing to change how you are feeling? So the next question, how would you describe money? Be really honest and choose up to 3 words. So imagine an alien from outer space is sitting next to you and is saying to you, this money stuff, what is it? Can you explain it to me? So how would you describe money? And again, be really honest. So we have payment, exchange, energy. Systematic, control, power, barter, necessary. What else? Gluttonous. So exchange and necessary have been said by a couple of people there. Let's move on to the next question. What is your attitude towards money? I love it, neutral towards it, fearful of it, love-hate relationship. Neutral, fearful, sorry, neutral, love-hate relationship. And it's really interesting because lots of you are creative and spiritual, and feeling neutral towards it and having a love-hate relationship is something I often see in creatives and in people who are more spiritual. So I am not surprised by those answers at all. And we have one person that loves it. Okay, next question. What does your current relationship with money look like? Really good. I feel abundant, a work in progress. There are highs and lows. I don't like thinking about it, but needs must. Not good at all. I know I am burying my head in the sand. Work in progress. There are highs and lows. I don't like thinking about it, but needs must. I hope it's interesting to see now for everybody that there is certainly a challenge going on here for most people. And we'll dig into that challenge now a little bit more as we go. So what impact is this relationship having on your business? So the impact you talked about in the last slide, what impact is your relationship with money right now having on your business? It's brilliant. It's exactly where I want to be. There is definitely an impact, but overall I'm happy. It's stopping me from growing my business. It's a big problem for me. And again, can we see our relationship with money is definitely having an impact, and that impact is not a brilliant one at the moment. So where is the impact being felt the most? And this comes back to what I was saying during the presentation, that our relationship with money is not just about what we charge, is not just about how much we've got saved, is not just about do we have a pension, etc., etc. It's about how visible are we in our business, because visibility can be really uncomfortable for many business owners. And what if people criticize me? Who am I to talk about what I do? I'm having an off here day today. Not putting boundaries in place, clients turning up late, expecting to have the same amount of time, clients paying late, clients contacting us out of hours and expecting to have an immediate response. Feeling yourself playing small in your business. Who am I to want more? Who am I to want to have a team? Who am I to want to have automated services, etc., etc.? All of that is playing into your relationship with money. And why? Because of your relationship with yourself, that's impacting your self-worth, self-value, etc. So playing small is a big one here right now. Something else, not putting effective boundaries in place. And I'm hoping you're starting to see that connection, not just directly with the money, but this is directly related to your behaviors as a result of your relationship with yourself. That is then impacting the money, which is then impacting how you're feeling about money. So the next question, do you recognize patterns that you have inherited from one or both of your parents? Oh my God, yes, we are like peas in a pod. I'm aware of some, but working to overcome the limiting ones. Just turning my heating up here. Yes, but what can I do about them? This is just how I am. Recognize them, but don't know what to do to overcome them. And again, this is really important because for some people, there is going to be a need to consider how the patterns they have inherited from their parents, to consciously consider how are they impacting their relationship with money as a result more of how they've impacted their relationship with themselves. So we have got out in slightly ahead, but only slightly. I'm aware of some of them, but working to overcome the limiting ones. And then, oh my God, we are like peas in a pod. Yes, but what can I do about them? This is just how I am. And that, quite simply, is not true. It's not how you are. It's a limiting belief that you have. Whoever wrote that just now, it's a limiting belief that you have that you can't change. And hopefully you will see from one of the previous slides that our financial identity is just how we believe we are at that moment in time. It may well be the same identity that we have carried for years and years and years, but identity is a choice. We can choose to change our identity when we recognize our financial identity is not serving us, basically. Next question. Why do you want to improve your relationship with money? Because this is a really simplistic but really powerful question, because it's only when we understand our why, it's only when we really connect to why are we creating change in the first place anyway, will we actually do the inner work needed to create that change. So this is why, for some people, about well, I'm crap with money, and I'm never really gonna, save for my future. But it's okay. I'll always find somebody that looks after me. And if they have no real passion about creating independence, being able to support others, wanting to create a legacy, etc., then they're not going to do the work that they need to do to create that change. So this is about really powerfully connecting to your why, because that's more, connecting to your why is much more than just motivation. Feels like a soul commitment. I like that. I have been on extremes on both ends of money status, highly abundant and lacking, want to maintain abundance, security, travel, education, lead the life I envision. Being financially independent will bring with it a sense of inner peace to my life. I have been given the opportunity to truly rebuild, and I believe this is part of the foundation. And what I would like you to do is to write down whatever you have written there on a post-it note, on a notepad, somewhere that you can see it, and to regularly look at that. Because what you are doing here is you are saying to your subconscious, this is what I want. This is why I want to create change. This is why I am going to work on my relationship with money, why I'm going to work on my financial identity, because here, this is my why. And this is far more powerful than ever putting a figure against money. So this time of year, I always do a strategic plan with my clients for the next year. And they usually come to me wanting to, with a financial goal, the amount of money they want to make next year. And that amount of money is usually plucked from the air. Those who work with me for a while know not to do that. But the majority of clients will come and say, next year, I want to earn X amount of money. And I'll say to them, why do you want to earn that amount of money? And I'll give you a really good example. One client said to me at the beginning of the week, she wants to earn 500,000 next year, sorry. So I asked, why 500,000? And she said, well, I'm 50 next year. it just seemed like a good number. That is not the way you go about setting targets when it comes to money. You actually work out what you need, what good looks like, what you want to do with the money, what you want to achieve, what you want to look back on your year and have done in terms of growing yourself, investing in your business, etc., etc. And one of the reasons for that is money loves a purpose. And the reason why money loves a purpose is because we actually love a purpose. Aiming for a financial figure solely for a financial figure will not truly motivate most people. Because what will happen when you have to change your behaviors, when you have to do the hard things that make you feel really uncomfortable, all of a sudden your subconscious will start saying, yeah, 500,000? Do you really need that? What are you going to do with it? You've done pretty fine on less than that so far. Don't give yourself the headache. Don't worry about getting invisible. Don't worry about playing big. Stay where you are. It's much, much more comfortable. However, when you actually say to yourself, what I want to do next year is to create financial independence for myself, because that's going to give me real inner peace, and then drill into, okay, so what does financial independence look like? What is the figure I need to be achieving in order to get financial independence? Even me now, as I'm talking about this, I'm getting a fizzing in my stomach, because financial independence, and that means different things to all of us. But when I think about financial independence, that is something I can get far more excited and committed to than solely plucking a number out of the air. So what is the one thing? Now you might say, well, actually, there's many more than one thing, but we need to start. We need a foundation upon which everything else can be stacked. What is the one thing you need to do to improve your money mindset that'll have the most effect on your business? This isn't the solitary thing, but this is the one thing. If you could do just one thing, what would be that one thing that'll advance you the most? Oh. Rewatch his presentation. Visibility. Yeah, that's a good one. And even though I am really visible, I need to work on being even more visible. You know, I'm really aware of that one as well. Create a budget that's realistic and still comfortable for me to live a happy and healthy lifestyle. And I like that, because I am not the kind of money coach or ever say to anybody, so how many Costa coffees did you have this week? What kind of perfume are you wearing? How often do you go and buy new clothes, etc., etc.? Because I genuinely believe our life has to be around balance, what makes us feel good, but also understanding our behaviors when it comes to money. If we're spending money to make us feel good because of a lack in ourselves, that is very different to celebrating your birthday or meeting up with a girlfriend for lunch. So I never want anybody to feel guilt attached to spending, as long as the spending is not attached to emotion that is based on financial identity. I need to love myself so much that I become an energetic magnet to money. Love that. Have a plan and be consistent. So how will your future self, we're coming to the end of this bit now, and I will speed through the rest because I recognise we are slightly behind on time. How will your future self describe money in 3 words? Because thinking about our future self is an amazing way of pulling us forward and creating the action that we may have been fearful of taking before we made that connection with our future self. So how will your future self describe money in 3 words? So abundant. A friend, thriving, amazing, plentiful, giving. A friend, I like that. Endless, love, giving. Effortless, endless, natural, brilliant. And a very tactical one, but an important one to finish on. Have you checked your bank account today? A lot of people will shy away from checking their bank account for fear of what the number will be in their bank account. But if you don't check your bank account on a regular basis, is that number going to change anyway? No, it's not. If you check your bank account regularly and start to see that number as purely information upon which you can take action, and you can create the behaviors that create the action, that create the results, then absolutely that information is going to demonstrate to you what were you doing 90 days ago that caused that flow of money into your bank account today. Because it is said, as business owners, the action that we take today will show up in our bank account in 90 days' time. So the more we track our bank account, the more we can work out what action is working and what actions are not serving us. And I'm loving the fact that nobody there is saying, hell no. I'm going to hold you accountable for those who haven't done it already to do it later. Okay, that's the end of the interactive bit. I'm going to quickly now just rattle through this bit, basically. So hopefully you now understand how your money story and what is going on with you with regards to your relationship with money is impacting your financial identity, how your beliefs are the foundation of that identity. And our money story is absolutely where our limiting beliefs will grow. So if our money story actually includes experience of scarcity, then it's likely we have brought that forward through to where we are now. But actually, are we in a position of lack now, or was that relevant to us at a time gone by? It's going to influence all our attitudes with regards to money, and it's going to shape how we view it. Do we see money as a tool upon which we can do more, a tool upon which we can do better? Or do we see it as flagellating us and constantly cursing us rather than seeing it as something that is going to help us and want to help us? And because our foundations of our beliefs lead to the attitudes that we have, that then drives our behaviors. And our behaviors are the direct indicator, of the results that we are going to be experiencing. So I just want to give you some examples here of how your money story can impact your financial identity. So if you have a money story going back to childhood of struggle, that's potentially going to lead you today to have a financial identity of being a cautious spender. Whereas if you have a money story that money is always going to be available when you need it, that it's abundant, then it's very likely that you are going to be confident about money and you're going to be a confident investor. But it's really important to understand that understanding your money story is not about casting blame, but it's more about understanding how it has shaped your financial identity. So I work with clients who have debt problem. It is about forgiving yourself having debt and celebrating the fact that you're putting a plan in place to get out of debt and understanding why you were in debt in the first place, and then working out a plan to move through it and out of it. It is not about constantly berating yourself for having the debt in the first place. And to really consider rewriting your money story to represent the relationship you want with money, starting with yourself going forward. These are just some tips, which I'm going to very quickly rattle through to help you to change that money story. Journaling, Do I need to say any more than that? Journaling is a fantastic tool for us to really have that conscious conversation with our subconscious. And there are 4 questions I've put there to be a starter for 10 for anybody who doesn't journal on a regular basis. I've already mentioned our money bio or our money CV. Think about that very, very first memory you have about money and plot every other memory you have year by year by year. There is going to be gaps, clearly, because we will not remember everything, but plot it right up until the point you are at now and look at the patterns. Look where you've been influenced. Look at the behaviors that have been developed and decide, are there changes you want to make? Understanding what your money archetypes are. This will help you to understand what is driving your relationship with money right now. And again, to help you become consciously aware about the changes that you want to make. If you go to my website, themoneyconfidenceacademy.com, you can take my free money archetypes assessment there. Really understanding and identifying what are your core values when it comes to money, because values are very, very difficult to change. Values are intrinsically what we are all about. Our values will really, really drive our true behaviors. So the more we can understand our values, the more we can lean into what's really important for us. Talking about money, sitting down and having a candid conversation with close family with regards to what are their money beliefs, what are their experiences, because by being able to share in that, you can start to see the commonalities between your own money story, but also what they have done to shift their money story. Money mantra creation. I am a big fan of money affirmations, but money affirmations actually are personalized to us rather than the generic ones. Generic ones will not really do very much for your subconscious, because if you are saying things like, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire, and then you look at your bank account and there's not $1 million plus dollars in your bank account, then your subconscious is going to say, hang on a minute, you keep saying you're a millionaire. Clearly you're not. So the way to create money affirmations that work for you, take a journal and a journal and a pen around with you for 24 hours. Every time a negative thought comes into your head, take your notebook, write it in the positive. First of all, you become aware of how often you speak negatively to yourself. And that is a light bulb moment, but also you're creating affirmations that are personalized to you. Then consider looking at the financial biographies of influential figures, figures that you follow, figures that you admire, and understand the journey that they have gone on financially to get where they are today. It's creating the evidence. And look, when it comes to financial goal setting, explore the emotions that you have when setting those goals for yourself. But remember, align them to your why and not just to a cold-hearted number. So I would invite you all to take action, to choose at least one of the things that I've spoken about there and create some accountability. You can go to a website called futureme.org and you can send an email to yourself, time for a week, a month, a year, whatever you want it to be, to come back, and then you can check on whether you have done what you said you were going to. But also, I'm very happy for anybody to share what they're going to do with me, and I will act as accountability. And then very quickly, just to say, for GWT, I have created an exclusive service just for GWT. It's something I have launched in the UK, but anybody that joins this, it will just be GWT members. It's a money coaching circle. One of the reasons I've created it is I'm very aware that my services are not accessible for everybody. And I want to help as many people as I possibly can to understand their current relationship with money and to look at the patterns and the behaviors that have evolved into creating that relationship. So a money coaching circle is a 6-week guided conscious awareness program for a very small, intimate group of people, 6 to 8 people, which will then be guided through really understanding where their relationship with money has come from. They will be given exercises to do every week that layers on that awareness. Each session is about 90 minutes. It starts in January. It is an offer that I've put out in the UK, which finishes tomorrow, but I am making that offer the price for GWT forever, basically, which is $450 for the entire 6 weeks. And I'm done. That is me. Any questions, let me know. Feel free to email me. Visit me at my website. You can connect with me there as well. I am going to stop sharing now.
Oh my goodness.
Apologies.
Lesley, I
Overwent.
no, nothing to apologize for. This was absolutely awesome. And I'm going to stop the recording in a moment just to keep it at a manageable length for the viewers who are going to be watching it. But before I do that, I I, I really want to thank you. And I thought the interactive aspect was wonderful. I loved that the Mentimeter service that you used. I thought it really enhanced the presentation, and I felt in terms of the content, much more to say about this, but GWT is so much recognizing that everything is frequency. And we've been working with that on the wellness side very intensely, as you know.
Yeah.
It's at least equally valid on the wealth side. And I think it perhaps so powerful that this conversation was introduced, not just for all of our members, but for ourselves, because GWT is embodying this transformation for the world, and this is very relevant for all of us. And I just want to thank you for your offer, which I recognize is something special for our members, and I look forward to sharing that as, again, one of the benefits to members, because as we're just putting out our membership offer, this is one of the discounted things that's available that I think we're going to encourage, because the opportunities that are going to be made available to all of us as a result of our involvement with this community are so exciting, that to bring all of this into consciousness so that we can actually recognize the why and work with these principles where they actually exist is a tremendous gift. And I'm just going to say I am going to call this a little bit of an example of how abundant the universe is, that this amazing content and experience was offered to all of us today and on the recording as gift, in a sense. And so if we don't have to look any further to see how abundant the universe truly is. So thank you for being the universe today in that role. And we look forward to, supporting many, many, many more experiences like this. So thank you again. And with that, I am going to stop the recording, and we can, for anybody who's wanting to stay and chat, I'm available for that as well.